I've got to. Oh.
Hello and welcome to Women's LIK, another edition of an action-packed programme for people who like laughs, information and knowledge.
It's actually ideas and knowledge. You got the word wrong there.
Oh, well, you know, I made
It's all the same.
It's all good. Ideas, information, it's all good.
It's all good.
So we've got a fantastic show lined up for you today with a really interesting guests. But we actually, unfortunately, one of our guests was taken ill and couldn't join us. So that's Shaneen Angeles. So we wish her all the best and speedy recovery.
Yeah,
it was
soon. Yeah.
So we have the whole show is dedicated to our other guest, Stephen Ismail, founder of the Mind Bubbles project, which is all about mindfulness in practice.
Loving that.
Absolutely. And he's got so much to offer and such a lot of information about those of you who may have tried mindfulness, who don't know what it's all about. And for those of you who have experienced anxiety with your kids, he may have some great techniques and some great answers for you. So we're looking forward to having a long, extended chat with Stephen. But before we do that, we have a bit of housekeeping, and Sandra is going to update you on what's going on.
Okay, so I don't know whether anyone got a chance to watch the June show, the June edition. It wasn't a women's LIK special, it was a men's LIK special. And it was about fatherhood. It was in June. If you did miss it, you can go to YouTube and go under Ultravision UK and you'll be able to watch the show, the actual show back. And we had a fabulous guest, Martin, being interviewed about fatherhood and a discussion about fatherhood. So do go and have a look at it. So it was a really, really good show. I did watch it. I joined the show and it was fabulous. So
it was great, actually, yeah.
Yeah, it was good. That's me.
Okay, and over to me. I'm just going to tell you that Ultravision is on the road. We've got a schedule planned out of roadshow coming to a city where you are. We were in Bristol earlier on this month, down there for the day, just giving out freebies and having a chat and telling you all about, what Ultravision stands for and what we're planning for the future. We're next going to be in Leicester on the Saturday, the 6th of August. Wow. We'll be having a stand there, and I believe that's at there's Carnival down there. So we'll be there on Saturday, the 6th of August. If you're in Leicester and you're listening, or if you know anybody who lives in Leicester, or if you're in the roundabout area, come and visit. Come and see us. We'll also be moving on to and around Manchester and Birmingham, and I think there may be some others planned as well. So we're on the road, so keep a lookout. If you want to find out further information and where we're going to be on what day, you can pop along to our website and find out where we're going to be.
Sounds fab. Wow.
I'm excited.
Wow, that carnival should be good as well in Leicester. Wow.
Oh yes, I'll be swinging my booty. Can't have carnival music without shaking a leg.
No, exactly.
I think it's worth going there just to see that, Angela.
Shaking a leg or shaking the tush.
Absolutely. So Ultravision, world domination. We're moving our way across the UK, meeting lots of people and telling people more about the vision for Ultravision, which is really to bring a Black channel, with Black presenters, Black content, ideas, information to everyone, across the UK, and telling, news from a different perspective. And I think that's really important. So it's all good. Okay, so are we ready to introduce our first and only fantastic guest?
Well, before you do bring him on, I do have one question, guys, because we haven't spoken, have we? Or seen each other.
Yes.
But what did you get up to over the last, in that month? But we did take a break, guys. We had our feet up. What did you do in the last month?
Oh gosh, finished my second or third book. Yeah, now taking a little break. So I'm actually not at home. I'm actually in a lovely place, a lovely guest house, the Clayton Wickham farmhouse in Sussex, which is amazing. It's been, yeah, just time to kind of catch up, and it ties into the whole mindfulness thing. But we all run really fast, and we're all doing a whole load of things, and we're parents and teachers and aunties, and we just run madly. So I'm having a couple of days off.
Well, that's great. Wow.
Self-care is so important, though. It is so important.
And I managed to get to Barbados, and I even joined Angela's show from Barbados, which did you see me with the sea behind me in the sun?
I did.
And I managed to join her show, and it was just fab. So my next stop is Cuba. So I'm doing the alphabet. So my next stop is I'm going to be going to Cuba, and then I shall be going to Amsterdam. I'm doing a bit back to front, but I'm going to Amsterdam in August. So it's all I'm doing the alphabet. I shall make the whole world at some stage.
Awesome. Cuba. Oh, you're going to have such a good time. That'll be so fantastic.
Are you practicing your salsa, Sandra?
Of course I am. You've seen me TikTok.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, of course I am. Definitely.
A little wiggle going on. Well, for me, I've just been busy with work, but work that I really enjoy doing. So I've got groups that I'm running as a therapist. I'm still seeing clients. I'll be seeing clients for the next week or so. But I work in school, so I'm really eager to kind of hear about the stuff that Stephen's doing, because I do some of that in some of the schools that I work, which is alternative provision, so children who not been able to cope in mainstream. We've got behavioural difficulties and been diagnosed with Asperger's and autism and things like that. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the work that he's doing, because I'll just add to what I'm doing as well. But I'm hoping to take a break when the kids are back at school, actually, because I can have a long weekend, and I'm going to go and sit on a beach somewhere with 2 books. And I'll make sure I read every single one of it, because I'm not going to move. So that sun better be blazing down. That's what I'm hoping.
Fair play.
That's good. Wow. Awesome. So, are we ready? Drum roll.
I'll hit the computer.
We are so excited and thrilled to welcome a bit of a giant in the field, the community field and the mental health field of mindfulness. And without further ado, I would like to welcome Stephen Ismail to Women's LIK.
Yay!
That's a good photo.
It is. I like that.
So Stephen is a certified MISP mindfulness teacher, and that stands for Mindfulness in Schools Project. And he's a learning mentor and founder of Mind Bubbles Project. So Stephen, welcome. Good afternoon to you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
The intro, giant.
You've filled those shoes already, Stephen. Don't worry. They're filled.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. So Stephen, before we get into the kind of talk and the concept of mindfulness, because it's a massive topic, what I'd really like us to do, and it's something I do at the start of my Happy in School sessions, is take us through a practical exercise, if that's okay, of something that people watching can actually do, and something simple they can do maybe on their own or with their young people. That's just a quick exercise. So we're kind of following your lead now.
Yeah, it's a nice start.
So, kind of put me in the spot, but so usually when I start my sessions or a session, whether it's online or physical, I'll get the person, whether they're a young person or an adult, to just ground themselves. So I'm going to start with a very short one. So most people know it, the 3x3. So I'll ask them to mention 3 things that they can see in their space. So they start 3 things that they can hear, and 3 things that they can feel. Now the third one is normally I make it a little bit challenging, where it's something inside your body and something outside your body. So a feeling inside your body could be, I might be feeling tired, I could be hungry, or I'm feeling, all kinds of emotions. So they kind of do like a body scan, and then the feeling outside is whether you can touch something in your vicinity. Yeah, so I would like all three of you we'll do one each. So something that you can see, something that you can hear, and something that you feel very quickly.
Do you want us to tell you what those?
So we'll start with Angela. Something that you can feel, or something.
I can feel my cold fingers on top of my leg.
Okay, Sandra.
I've got a cup of herbal tea, and I'm holding the cup. I can feel the warmth of the tea.
And Suzy.
I can feel my palms feel quite warm.
Okay. Something you can hear.
For me, I can hear the cars outside. I live on a main road, so I can hear just in the background a little bit of the cars going by. Even though we've got double glazing, I can still hear it.
Okay. Angela?
I can hear very slight kind of buzzing, and I think it's just because of it's not interference, but it's just I'm listening quite carefully because I've got headphones in, so I can just hear a very slight buzz.
Yeah.
Should be probably the feedback, yeah, but it's not interfering.
Yeah. Suzy?
I can't hear anything because I'm in this farmhouse in the country, and it's extraordinarily peaceful.
So the sound of peace then?
I can hear peace. It's amazing.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a very, very quick grounding exercise. But were you aware of all the things that you mentioned before? I told you to kind of look at or hear.
Not really, no.
Yeah. So it's kind of making you present. And with kids, it's a really good thing to do because they find it hard to like regulate. So it's like let's ground you very quickly. So it's almost like when we do a lot of it, like repetition, it becomes part of their hardwiring. So we're trying to make people understand that mindfulness isn't about just sitting there and breathing, and it's about you being able to ground yourself and be present to the things that are going on. If that makes sense.
I've got to say, I do that all the time, and sometimes I even fall asleep doing mindful, whatever my situation is. I do something to go to bed at night, and I find it really comforting. I've been sort of using mindfulness for the last, let's say, 5 years of my life, and it's really helped. It's made me stronger, and it's also made me find time to relax where I couldn't relax before because I was always my head was going at 100 miles an hour. But so it's slowed me down, which is good. Yeah, so, people think I'm wearing socks and sandals. I'm not. They think I say that to them. They think I'm sitting there humming all the time. I'm not. I've just found a new lease of life, and it's fabulous. So I really am interested in what you've got to tell us.
Yeah, and it works. Different things work for different people. So it's really allowing the person to have the tools. So that's why I do lots of different short exercises, and then people might like them to 3x3 or alternate nostril breathing, which I'm going to do next, or finger breathing, or so it's finding a dynamic exercise that can really help you ground yourself in that moment. So I'm doing lots of research now and exercises around the vagus nerve in terms of how we can in order to relax the nervous system. But it's a lot of research, it's a lot of work, a lot of practice, but, and then explaining it is even more difficult because the language that they use, it's like
absolutely.
Tell that to a 9-year-old, it's like, what do you mean? So it's you finding the language that enables them to really connect with their body, and understand why when you do these exercises, how they can help you come to stillness, and kids are very good at like absorbing information, but they would like to understand the whys.
Absolutely.
Why, if I do this, why does it work? That's why you have to go through the action. So the next short one, alternate nose breathing. So we're just gonna go from each nostril, close one, open one. You guys will probably know what it is, but for the audience, it's a really good way. I do this one in the mornings when I can, before I leave or when I get to work. and definitely before I go to sleep. I've worked with people that have had, cancers and all kinds of things and not had a good sleep for years, and they've done it, and for the first time in a long time, they've slept really well. So I'm not looking at like the numbers, but people's lived experience. So it's one that I really encourage and suggest to people, especially if you find that you're tending to sleep, taking a long time to sleep. If you start to practice this and you build up, the amount of time you're doing it, you should. I mean, there is evidence to suggest that it does work. Obviously, it depends on people's experience. So you're going to take your right hand, and you're going to close the right nostril. So you're going to breathe in through the left nostril, close the left nostril, breathe out through your right, close right, breathe in through your left, close left, breathe out through your right, close right, breathe out left, close left, breathe right, close right, breathe out left, close left, breathe out right, close right, breathe out left. And we're going to breathe in through the left. Breathe in left, close, breathe out right, close, breathe in left, close, breathe out right, close, breathe in left, close, breathe out right. And now I just want you to breathe through both nostrils now. Let's take a couple of seconds to kind of observe what's going on in your body or your mind. So little things would have happened in that short space of time. Obviously, if you close your eyes, you were able to look inwards and kind of just watch or feel what was going on in your body. So was there any slight changes in what was happening before you did those exercises? If you feel a little bit heavier or your breath started to extend or your mind was focusing on exercises?
I feel
slowed you down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel lighter.
You feel lighter?
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, I noticed that I was concentrating. I was in the head first of all, and after a while, I tuned out without realizing my head, and was just listening to your voice. And the exercise got easier as it went along. It wasn't like, oh, left, right, blow in, out. It just became a natural thing because I allowed myself. So I shut off some of my inner chatter, and I have a lot of inner chatter.
We all do.
Yeah.
But it's good. How did you feel, Angela?
I felt good. If it's something that I do practice, because I do that with yoga, I do pranayama. So that is part of something that we do.
You guys look like you practice, but obviously that's a staple exercise in yoga. Like before you start your practice or coming to the end. So it's like it's quite difficult to do it and explain it. I mean, you're already tapping into your muscle memory, so it just reminds you of a practice that you already do.
I've been recently doing the Wim Hof breathing, and I have ice baths. So I call myself child of Wim Hof.
Ice baths.
Yeah, so I have ice baths, and I've learned to breathe in the ice bath. So that breathing has helped me I've managed to get my breathing right so that I can get into an ice bath and stay in there for 5 minutes.
Really?
So, yeah, but I couldn't do that before because I couldn't get my breathing right. But now I've got the breathing right.
Stephen's in shock.
Yeah, I'm not panicking. All my showers, I have cold showers. I don't have warm showers.
Really?
Anymore. All my showers are cold now.
You could do it, Stephen. Let's go for it.
No, you know what?
That's a whole new story.
It's the mind thing. So I go sauna and I've touched the the ice thing, and all I do is end up in the corner. Like, so I know it's really good for you because it shocks your body and it moves anything that's stuck. It moves it up, but it's just the mind thing.
So,
So I'll give you an example. Even yesterday, I went to the swimming pool, outdoor swimming pool, with my wife, and she was trying to teach me how to float. Just float in the water and kind of just put your head back and then look into the sky, which is really good for, like, you know, just taking yourself away from the mundane everyday thing. But I found it so hard to put my head back and trust myself in the water.
Your own balance, to just relax and just literally just let go. Yeah,
I could still feel I was tight. My shoulders were like that. The swimming instructor was like, put your head back more. But when I did that, I felt like I was gonna, you know, when you get that thing when the water,
like you're gonna drown or something. And the thing is, as soon as you go back and relax, you will float. Yeah, it's like just letting go. But we have to find that way to let go. You know what I mean?
That edge. So I'm gonna go back and work on that in terms of my mindfulness. I noticed that my breathing like become shortened. So I know that it's a good way of me tapping into regulating myself.
You make a lovely point, though, Stephen. The fact that even though you're a practitioner, you still have areas of your own anxieties and areas that you can learn from. And I think that's really humbling, because we always kind of expect our teachers to be, you know, like gurus, and they know everything. And I've been doing training about ADHD and autism, and I get asked a question by a parent, and occasionally I'll say, "That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that right now."
Yeah.
And you just have to, and you've just done that, and I think that's so admirable, because we're all learning and we're all at different stages, and we can amass a bunch of stuff and we get to a certain point, but then there's still something that we have to go to the next stage and the next stage. So I love the fact that you're going to apply what you do to your own sort of inner little battle with floating.
Yeah. I think anything that changes your wiring, it's a lifelong journey. I'm learning all the time, trying to change my behavior, I can't be present 24/7, and a lot of time I slip into very old habits and habitual behavior, which I try to observe. So it might come to my attention a little bit quicker than it used to. But I'm trying to work on my listening skills. I'm a lot better, but I'm still a terrible listener. I find it very.
Can I just change that, Stephen? You're not a terrible listener. You are. You just said that you're growing and you're learning. You're not terrible at it.
Yeah.
But
See,
you have an intention. You have an intention to do it better, so you're not terrible.
I have an intention to listen better. So like, just sitting down listening to people, I find really difficult. And I'm always moving around and I can't keep still.
Yes, I'm going to pick you up on that, because a lot of the you talked about mindfulness and the research and the work I do around ADHD. Mindfulness is now an evidence-based therapy for ADHD, and for a long time, the scientific community has relied on traditional techniques and interventions for developmental conditions like ADHD. But it's wonderful. Only in the last couple of years, more research has come out saying that it's an evidence-based practice. But when I talk to youngsters with ADHD who are still maybe sort of struggling with attention, which is what all this is about, is where is your attention, or struggling with that sense of attention in the body and not being able to sit still or needing to move, like hyperkinetic. It seems like such a big gap between what we're doing here and working with a young person with ADHD. So my question to you is, what is your thought on mindfulness being a stillness practice, or are you open to active mindfulness practice?
I do both. I do both, which is it's a bit of an oxymoron, because it's about sitting in stillness. And for me, you can't work with kids and have them sitting still.
For a long time,
well,
yeah.
I mean, the British school system for me was designed to make kids obedient and sit in stillness. That was maybe 200, 300 years ago. I mean, we're in 2022. How do you expect young men full of testosterone to sit still for 6 hours a day? It's impossible. How do you expect kids with SEN stuff going on to be able to sit still? You have to get them moving. You know, a lot of their learning requires movement. So, for instance, I work with a couple of SEN kids. I work in school as well as a part-time learning mentor. And there was a young man in year 9 that has autism, and he was coming out the SEN room and he was bouncing a basketball. Now, basketball is one of my passions. So whether he was bouncing it, because I've kind of coached before, and he was out of class, I wanted to get him back into the SEN room. So I told him, when he's bouncing it, try bouncing it with your weaker hand. So he's really focused on the ball. And I said, rather than looking at the ball, you start to look at me and learn to bounce the ball without looking at it. Because that's one of the fundamentals in dribbling. You learn to dribble without looking at the ball so you can see what's going on with the ball. So he started doing that. And if you saw how focused he was for a minute, you know, and I managed to get him back into the SEN room, you know, and I said that if you started to focus, you know, do a little bit of basketball in the holidays and think about how you dribble, yeah, think about your steps, how you lay up and how you pass. And, you know, for those 5 minutes that I was talking to him, I've never seen him so focused. We can use sports and exercises to help kids that find it hard to focus. Because most kids do. Can you imagine sitting in class and just teacher after teacher just talking at you and talking at you? You switch off. You know, most of them haven't had breakfast. You know, most of them haven't had a good night's sleep. When we start looking at preparing them for school properly, then you might get more out of them. So leading to your question, I do lots of exercises, movement exercises, that are mindfulness. It's just that when they're doing it, they don't know they're doing it. So I've got a game called Pigeon where you've got everybody sitting down, there's one chair available, one person standing up, and that person has to get to an empty chair. And why it's called pigeons, because they need to make pigeon steps when they're moving. So the group is sitting down, but you can only have one person moving at a time. It's a really difficult game to explain, but the kids love it. The kids love it because they learn to spatial awareness, they learn to communicate better, they learn to work together, they learn to look at the space in the room, you know, they learn to be kinder to each other because it's like, it's blame. It's like, you're working as a team, you know, so they just start to develop all of these skills over time. And they always want to play, can we play pigeon? Can we play pigeon? And it also depends on the behavior. So it's almost like a reward. So if you do well in the sessions, then we do these exercises. We've got a counting game where, you know, they position themselves in the room, and what happens is they got to count, but the person next to you can't say the next number. Yeah, I love that video, and they get so excited. So if you get over 20, I'll bring a pizza in next week. There's got to be an incentive.
That's right. Yeah,
some classes can't get past 10 because it's like you'll have the alphas always, and it's like, no, everybody needs to contribute. Slow it down. Yeah. Think about working as a team. Think about the fact that your neighbours. So if you say a number, they know that they can't say the next number. So it's really about developing a practice where you're able to really look at your world around you, the space that you're inhabiting.
It sounds. Oh, you go ahead, Angela.
All right. I want to ask a question just quickly because you know you said that the game that you play, they're working together. Because I work in schools too, and they're alternative provision. So, like I said, children who can't really cope in mainstream anyway. But I like the fact that you are getting them working together because what I've experienced, a lot of the children, they're very independent. Not independent as in socially independent, but independent in terms of what they do, because unless they're doing specifically going out and doing team sports after school, they just go straight home. The first thing they do is they get on a game, and this is the only bit of exercise that they get. So I like that idea that you're getting them to work together, because I don't see much of that outside of the classroom itself. Even when they're outside, they're still kind of on their own, trying to find somebody to kind of connect with and have a conversation with and stuff like that. So I like that idea. I really do.
I think, Stephen, that what you said is really interesting. So a lot of people who don't understand mindfulness think instantly it's like, I can't sit still, I'm too, I don't believe in all that rubbish, who would get great benefit from it. But what you're saying is actually, and it's very much a holistic view, looking at the body and the mind together as a whole. And that's obviously what we are made. That's how we are made. We are not just a brain or not just a body. We those two are integrated. So using movement and to encourage a sort of state of mind, and a cooperative state of mind, or a stillness state of mind, or a focused state of mind, you're doing all of that through your sort of active mindfulness. And I think that's a really strong message. Because a lot of people really don't understand what mindfulness means. And I think what you've said there might encourage people who think it's just sitting there going, they might actually think, oh, I didn't know I could do it that way. I didn't know it would work that way. So I think that's a really strong message that you've just shared just now.
Definitely. Stephen, is this what your actual Mind Bubbles project is all about? Because I'm sort of quite intrigued to know what attracted you to this field of work in the first place. Because the thing is this, I've been doing mindfulness. Because I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I lost weight. I changed. Everything changed. And that's why I do mindfulness. It was to relieve tension. I was going through a lot of stress. So what was the reason why you created this project? If you got something in your own self that made you do it?
I started doing yoga first. So I've been doing yoga about 12 years. Just in the studio one day, and the teacher was like, "Come in, do a class, see how you feel." And I went in, and I enjoyed the shavasana at the end. It was the first time in years that I was able to really observe what was going on in my body. It was really, really tight, and so my body started to talk to me. I'm feeling the tight shoulders. I noticed how tight I was in my shoulders from starting to do the classes. So it was almost like my body was now. I was listening. My body was telling me, "I need you to stretch me." And I haven't looked back ever since, and through that practice, especially the breathing practices, Angela, I found that I was able to take that into my sessions. I do a couple of jobs. I work on a Saturday project where I've got a group of kids that I work with, and I started introducing breathing techniques in the classes. So they'll have a subject teacher, but I'll be in charge of behaviour. And if I felt like the energy was low or they weren't focused, I would stop, reset for a minute, maybe deal with the alternative nostril breathing, something with the eyes, move around the room, go and sit in another chair and make them walk around the room 4 times and sit up in their seat and reset the whole lesson. And I think that members of staff started to see me do that. I had a group of young people also working, and I was like, they're not focused. We need to do a breathing exercise. So I'll have other young people leading the practices, so it became part of what I was in the classroom. I used to take it everywhere. And then my manager suggested that I should go on a mindfulness course for kids. I had to do my own 6 weeks course, and I loved it. I loved it. It really introduced the structure of how breathing exercises can really help you really tap in. I think there was a day when we just did a whole day of mindfulness, and my senses. Do you remember that film where the guy badly something swallowed the pill and it made him?
With the eyes and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember walking around Regent's Park like a madman, all of us.
But you had a different vision.
Yeah, my vision. I could hear everything. You know, my vision, everything was super turned on, because obviously we've just been doing breathing exercises all day.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the first time in my life that I just felt like fully switched on.
That's amazing.
So I
Wow.
did that personal, did
It's
that
really
personal
good.
course.
That sounds
Sorry.
brilliant. So it's like it's so deep to you as well. Like it means something to you. It's so interesting.
Yeah, I'm passionate about something. I'm a bit not autistic, but when I do something, I'm all in. You know,
Either all or nothing.
trainers. I love cycling, so I'm all in. I have to be all, to really do it. That's how I am.
That's how you are. Stephen, now's a good chance to talk about your other passion, hip hop.
Oh,
Coming to sabotage. Oh,
Love hip hop.
I love music.
Mm-hmm.
oh, is that your daughter?
Yeah, she always tries to come in and bomb. You gonna say hello? No.
Come and say hello.
Yes, we're talking about young people like yourself. Hi.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
I wonder what happened with a hat. Like I thought it was
Yeah.
like he put a different hat or something.
Comes in and just wants to be part of the show. Yeah, I love music of African origin, and particularly hip hop. I'm a hip hop baby,
Yeah.
Love hip hop.
Born in and around the time it was conceived in terms of the structure, but hip hop has been around for thousands of years. We've been doing this. It's nothing new. Rhythm over poetry, spoken word over a drum beat. It's nothing new. We've been doing it an awful long time, but in its present structure, I've got to pay homage to the Caribbean people, more so Jamaicans. I don't think Jamaican people, for their cultural input, and I'm not Jamaican, trust, I'm not even, for their cultural input, if you were able to monetize that, it would change.
Honestly.
It would, for your cultural inputs, you need to be like Nigerians, so you need to pay for this service.
Honestly.
It's really weird. I was listening to Buja Banton. I know he'd been in prison, and he actually was interviewed when he'd come out of prison, and he said that you don't realise how much. This is almost what he was saying, that in Jamaica and say people, and not just Jamaica, but how much we've got.
Yeah.
Like we're not using it. He said, I've been in prison, I've come out, and some of it is still the same. Not, like we can move forward wherever we are, and that's not happened. And we've got so much to give, and if we're not giving it, sometimes it's being stolen. The information that we've got, the song that we sing, reggaeton was created from reggae. Do you get what I mean? And reggae was reggae, but there's reggaeton. Not knocking reggaeton, I love it, but reggaeton is a subsection of reggae. So it's like saying things are sort of being taken and over in different sections.
And rehashed, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love the power of hip hop and the impact it's had on the world. The fact that its birthplace, New York, it went from a negative where you just had gangs, and then going from gangs that were stabbing each other to gangs doing dance off. I mean, what music can do that?
Exactly.
You weren't stabbing people anymore. You were dancing and breaking and b-boying and b-girling and popping against them.
And you think about the offshoots from the hip hop, from the music scene, have burst into the fashion scene and burst into the makeup. I mean, now 80s style is having a bit of a resurgence.
And I love that the retro business.
Honestly, and all that is all that trainers, the whole thing. And someone like Kanye West, whatever you think of him, I have a lot of respect for what he's done of putting that culture, right on the map and stamping it and saying this is us. He's brought out his own trainer design. Not being, it's ownership. And I think that's what you were saying, like Sandra. It's ownership. This is our ingenuity, our legacy, our history, our creativity. This is amazing, and we need to celebrate ourselves every single day.
Yeah, we do. We do.
You said about the trainer thing. I've got to say, my son is working for Kick Game. He's a marketing person for Kick Game who do trainers.
Yeah.
And some of the rappers have put millions into his company that he works for, and they pay for the trainers. But it's a whole. And my son is into likes hip hop, likes the rappers and that scene. So he's it's like a win-win situation. He's working for this company that he loves trainers, and the trainers are like thousands of pounds, and then the rapper has put money into that company, and the rappers go into the shop and promote it. It's just sort of big. So the rappers are doing more and promoting other things and selling other things. Do you know what I mean? Selling so the youth can see more.
So has your son got a room full of trainers now?
He has, unfortunately, but I told you he's met
I was only
somebody.
kidding.
He's met somebody. He's not allowed to buy as many. I shouldn't be saying this live, but he's bought a house, so he's not. He's with somebody now, and she's sort of like restraining him in terms of trainers. So I said it out loud. I've said it out loud. Sorry, Zach, but yeah, it happens. But look, in terms of your mindfulness, are you using that at home, like with your family as well? Are you?
Yeah, I do it with my daughter. Gets quite anxious, so she might not tell me, but
you pick up the energy.
Like, oh, she did something in class with the kids, and now she's become a parent, or so I know that even though she would never tell me, that she uses the practice, little practices. I mean, we've done stuff on Instagram where
that's great.
We've done it together. Actual thoughts, or it's a little game. I tell her to close her eyes, and then I'll clap, and she claps, and whatever she's thinking of at that time, I ask her to hold it, and she'll tell me she's thinking about rabbits. It gets really random, but it's just a fun way to ground other people, so they can do it with their peers. But it's fun. It's like if somebody's upset, let's do catch your thoughts. So you completely take them away from how they're feeling. Just trick them and make them focus on like positive things. Which the body can do that with the mind. It's really about relaxing your nervous system. But you have to explain it in language that they understand. If you relax your nervous system, your body will mirror that. And you're like, okay, how do I relax my body system? My nervous system. By relaxing your breath. If you relax your breath, you relax your nervous system. But it never gets to break, And you have to find times in the day to allow it to have a little 5 minutes, a little tea break, and then you might find that your sleep might improve. So doing it before you sleep, relaxing your nervous system, will allow you to have a better quality sleep. Whether you sleep for 4 hours, 5 hours, 8 hours, it's about the quality of your sleep. So when talking to young people, they will say to you, all you do is talk about sleep. All you do is talk about food.
Yeah, it's not a great thing, is it, for them to, I don't want to be sleeping.
Yeah, you need to sleep well. But your phone's
that's what I tell them.
They'll come with a battery 100%, but your brain isn't charged. Because they're not going to bed at a good time. And this is also a responsibility of a parent and guardian.
Yeah.
Yes.
You need to make sure that you're nurturing a culture where your child sees sleep as a positive thing. Not, I'm going. No, it helps you develop. All the learning that you're doing is downloading the data. Yeah, you can't do that on 3-4 hours sleep. You need to make sure that you're sleeping and you're sleeping well. We need to encourage those things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's as important as food.
Yeah.
It's just as important as having food.
Absolutely. So, Stephen, if we were going to look at for sort of families, we mentioned a family parental responsibility about making sure that your kids have enough sleep and good quality sleep and deep sleep for many reasons. So let's say if I were a parent and I had, 2 or 3 kids, a teenager and a toddler and one sort of in between. What kind of in the time constraints, we all have busy lives. We may have a job, we may not. We may be caring for an elderly relative or whatever we're doing. How could you build in a mindfulness practice for your average parent, maybe with a couple of kids? So talk us through what that day might look like, because it all sounds good and we all think, yeah, I should do that. I should be doing that. And then we come off the call and we go back to, our life as before. So how might it work?
So the way you can cultivate good practice is leading by example as the adult. So my daughter sees me practicing. She sees me doing yoga, even though she might not do it herself. The fact that it's something she sees in the house
Mhm.
is really important. You know, it's almost like an 8th flight where, you know, Sunday afternoon or Sunday morning, what was going on in our houses as a child, and I bet it's very similar.
Mhm.
Somebody
Maybe going to church, cooking, mum cooking, going to church.
That was same for
not
me.
only cooking, what was in the background?
Music,
Music,
What kind of music?
reggae.
or
Okay,
sometimes church music. Yeah.
okay. That's the beauty of our culture. It's Bluetooth, yeah. So even though we grew up in different places, yeah, different families, yeah, I know that on a Sunday we had to slow down.
Yeah.
You're not going out on road. You're eating in this house. You're not bringing any takeaway.
Mm.
You're not bringing any takeaway in here. I've cooked, yeah. We've cooked properly, like a Sunday dinner,
Mhm.
yeah. Your mum or dad is playing music. You know the music that was being played. Yeah,
Mm.
it was a Dennis Brown or a Mighty Diamonds or some gospel Al
Mm.
Green. Yeah, it takes me back to those places where I go to my grand's house. We'll have a Al Green on.
Oh,
Love
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
John Holt.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see,
I've been playing that this morning already.
okay, so you start to when you're cooking now, you start to do that. Play your little rare groove or
Mhm.
some slow jams or
Mhm.
some reggae, and it's almost we it's something that is part of us. You know, we're cooking.
Mm.
Children might come in, and you're showing them that the peas have been soaking all night, and this is how what
Yeah.
you clean them or the rice or whatever it is. So they then start to learn how to connect with their culture, and I think that a mindfulness culture is we're doing it, and then we encourage them to come and do it with us. So, for instance, now, if my daughter's had a stressful day, before she goes to bed, I go onto YouTube. Um, there's a .b exercise called meditation, and I encourage everybody to do this. Just type in meditation in YouTube, and it just talks about how difficult your days can be, but then not allowing it to then mess up your sleep. And it can be for anybody. So we'll sit in bed. I'll sit at the edge of her bed, and I'll do the practice with her.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I just ask her to think about what was said, and she's listened to that video hundreds of times. But sometimes she needs a reminder.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also when she's feeling anxious or I'm feeling anxious, we might put on the sounds of waves,
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
in nature. Like I find rain really,
Yeah,
really,
I love rain. I love the rain sounds.
yeah. And we might listen to that 20 minutes before she goes to bed, just 10, 15 minutes,
Yeah.
just to get her to settle, give her nervous system a break. But it's also, I'm getting the benefits. You know, sometimes we might lay in the room and just lie down and listen to the sounds.
Mm. I used classical music for mine when they were growing. In fact, I used classical music when they were when I was pregnant. Played it to them when
Okay.
I was pregnant,
It is good.
and even when my son was born, and he said, "Oh, mom, I can't sleep," I would play the classical music at the top of the stairs for both of them in the bedrooms.
Yeah, so you can use sounds,
Yeah.
especially sounds of nature, to help
Yeah.
not just our children or young people, but
That sounds.
ourselves.
Help
Yeah.
us.
It
So we've got
helps.
so we've got that pre-bedtime routine, the sleep
Mm,
hygiene. What about when the kids come back from school? Because that's when
yeah.
they've been out there in the world, and we know how school can be challenging.
Mm.
Yes.
What
Yeah.
else?
I won't start about school. The stress inducers. I'm not gonna lie. You
Mm-hmm.
know, there's so much
Absolutely.
anxiety around schools, and until they start dealing with that, this is going to
Yeah.
continue. A lot of kids just don't fit that mold, one size fits all. And if you work outside of that, the schools struggle. They
Yeah.
really do struggle. So they need to be spoke. Meeting the young person's needs rather than the other way around. So what I was going to say is, you might ask them, Suzy, right? How was your day? They're like, what did you do today?
I never asked
I
that.
remember.
Yeah,
Which
so,
normally say nothing.
so,
I never said it. I never asked that question,
yeah,
Michael. So,
so what I might ask my daughter would be, who did you sit next to at lunchtime?
Mm.
Oh, I sat next to Grace, or I sat next to... Who did you sit next to last week? And she'd be like, oh, okay. What did you learn today that you didn't know yesterday?
That's what I used to ask my kids.
And she'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, Dad, man, I don't want to... No, tell me. She says, I learned something in maths that I didn't know. But even though it didn't make sense, I didn't know that yesterday.
Mm.
So it's really, we need to have those conversations with our young people, because a lot of the time it feels like we don't really know them.
Mm.
It's because we're asking the wrong questions.
Mm.
It's nice to have a conversation with a young person and find out what's going on with them, whether it's good or bad, because it's good for them to talk about how they feel and understand why they feel that way. They need to develop the EQ. If I'm feeling sad or angry, why am I feeling sad or angry? What's happening in my body that's making me feel that way? What are my stress markers? Is it somebody that's winding me up? Why am I allowing them to wind me up? All of those things, so they start to really look at the whole picture and what they need to do to manage their emotions. And it's like, I think conversations are the most important thing to really allow our young people to develop the practice of being present. Because a lot of time they can't manage their emotions.
No, they can't regulate. But then I think maybe as parents, we need to understand how to ask those questions and how not to be judgmental, rather than going, take your uniform off and start your homework.
Yeah.
We can be quite ambitious for our kids, and there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes that desire for their progress and ambition, in looking for that, we're not really seeing some of their emotional issues. So it's kind of how, as parents, we educate ourselves to look for the signs and read the signs. When they just rush upstairs and slam the bedroom door, and you say, "Well, come down," and what's happened, and you start to your own sense of dysregulation. And I think a lot of parents, we've all, we may have been at work, all of that stuff, so we've got our own stuff to deal with, but we also need to make time and space for them, for us to be a safe space for them to talk to us about what's going on.
Yeah.
And what do you think about, Stephen, like, I come from schools, I was a teaching assistant, then I became a cover teacher, and I always feel guilty that I once sat with a student who was misbehaving. He was good, and then he started misbehaving along the journey. And I, a couple of times, told him to stop, behaving badly. The one thing I'd forgotten to ask him is what was wrong. So that was the one question I hadn't asked. I kept telling him off. Honestly, telling him off. Can you sit down? Can you use the learning objective? Can you do the stuff that you've got to do? But I hadn't asked him the question. He then told me that he had a problem. Because I said to him, "I'm so sorry. I forgot to ask you why you were misbehaving. You had changed, and I didn't know why. But I never asked that question." And then he said, "This is what is wrong." And I said to him, "I'm very sorry. I never asked you that. I just kept telling you off, or saying, could you sit down, do this, or could you do that?"
They need to be human beings at the end of the day.
And it's about noticing as well.
Yeah. And he felt heard with you asking him that question.
And the other thing I did learn, and I don't know whether you know this, is finding, like you said about the guy kicking the ball, is finding something good in someone's bad. You said he'd left the classroom. So the classroom was where he should be in the lesson, which we know. But you found something good, but like you sort of distracted him and found something good in what we call bad. You know what I mean? We say good in you, find the good.
Being at the classroom. But if I tell him that, it just reinforces the whole.
That I'm doing something wrong. But you found what was right.
Yeah, it's really about. I've got boxing gloves. I've got pads in my room.
Wow.
I've got cricket. We have I've got like a basketball. So sometimes they need to do something physical
to release it.
They've come out of COVID. They've lost family members.
Yeah.
They've been isolated for like on and off 2 years. They haven't been able to socialize the way they need to socialize. They've got all the mental health stuff going on.
Yeah.
You expect them to just slot back into school like it's seamless?
Yeah, we need to notice that, don't we? We need to.
It's not going to happen. A lot of them have found it difficult. Acknowledge that.
Mm.
and actually praise them for coming out the other end. You know, they've been extremely resilient without even knowing.
Yes.
You know, so I do sessions around resilience. You know, what is resilience? And I don't know.
Yes.
What do you think it means?
Yes.
Being able to, I call it bounce back
Bounce
ability.
back, yeah.
It's a superpower, but you need to cultivate it. But more importantly, you need to understand when you've done it to credit yourself.
Yes. Yes.
We don't credit our young people enough. Especially as black people. We don't.
Totally agree.
When you come home, you did well in a test. You know, I did. Oh, okay. Is that it? Just
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
you expected to do it? No, I did above and beyond. I
Yes.
was expecting. Like, where's the love?
Yeah.
Like, I did well, and I'm bigging up myself, but you're not even bigging me up. But if I
Yeah.
did really bad now, you'd be like, see, I'm not
Yeah.
behaving myself. What's going on? I did well, so I'm expecting to be praised.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
We've
And
learned to do that.
encouraged, yeah.
Any little thing, you sat down, well done for sitting down. Yeah, move on to something else. Well done for being on time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is what I need. So from when you're on time today, that's your bar. You shouldn't be late for my session. Yeah, that's what I'm expecting of you. So my expectations are always high. Yeah, because I know a lot of their homes, the expectation is there isn't any.
Yeah.
To see mentors or people that they see in certain positions. This is where I want to see you. Yeah, what if not today, tomorrow. If not tomorrow, the next day. If not the next. At some point, I want to see you here. We need you here. Yeah, and you tell them why it's important that we need them to like be the best versions of themselves.
Mm.
And then they start to, okay, I'm gonna start doing something. Not for me, it's for you.
In
And I think that
themselves. Yeah.
it's important that you empower yourself.
Mm.
Yeah, all I'm doing is giving you certain tools, and then you can run with it. So you need to show the deputy head or head that you're always clashing with, that you're now taking control.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Stephen, can we duplicate you, right?
I was thinking the same thing. You need to be cloned in each and
Yeah.
every educational establishment, each and every office in the country.
Yeah.
I've got mentees that I work with that are now kind of doing similar work, and because I'm getting old, I'm getting tired. But I love the way they interact. Like in my Saturday project, I'm a group leader. One of the other group leaders was a young man that I used to work with.
Mm.
And if I get the opportunity to get into a school, I've got 3 or 4 people that I'm trying to signpost, and I was trying to say to
Excellent.
schools, you get young, dynamic,
Yes.
interesting black men in this school, it will
Yes.
change the culture.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It will change the culture of the school. Get
Yeah.
them into head of year roles or assistant head of year roles, non-teaching roles, and you will see a difference in terms of how your kids interact.
Yes.
Because they need to be talking to people that look like them.
Look like them, the representation.
No, we appreciate everything you said there. We're actually running short of time now. I don't know.
I can't believe it.
We could talk all day. It was going across the screen a minute ago how we could actually contact you. I don't know whether we've got a director and producer with us today, whether she could put it there. It is there. She's amazing.
Yeah.
She's brilliant. It's on the screen there, guys, where you can contact Stephen. Stephen Thomas.
All social media. I've got the TikTok for the young people. Then.
Fantastic.
Good idea. And I'm a TikTok fan.
Yeah.
So,
my exercises on there and any information. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter. I have a website, mindbubbles.project.co.uk. I'm available for one-to-ones, online or physical, group work. I'm hoping to do one in the 6 weeks holiday with adults and young people.
Wow, you're a busy man. Amazing.
Yeah.
Work you're
Thank you
doing.
very much for taking the time to come and actually talk with us.
I love having these conversations with people that we need, we suffer from stress on different levels. And what I want to be able to see is black people starting to manage their, because it kills us.
Yes.
Definitely, I agree with you.
I'm not losing people 10, 15 earlies. That shouldn't be happening. You can't be part to just be tapping out. Because I lost a friend recently, like beginning of the year, he had a heart attack. He had high blood pressure. I don't want to go through that again. I don't want to see his kids not having a father. Yeah.
No, definitely. But we definitely have to learn to deal with our stress, guys. That's a really good message. Look, guys, we're having to come to an end. We could talk to you for hours. It's really interesting, everything you're saying, but we are coming to the end of the show. We need to let you know that we are not going to be here in August. We're taking a break. We all deserve a holiday. We're going to be doing our mindfulness as well. We deserve that, everyone. But I've got the date of the next show in September as the 25th of September. Which is a Sunday. I'm hoping I've got the right date. You can watch us back on Ultravision UK on YouTube. So if you did miss the show and you know where you can contact Stephen, it's there on the screen. I don't know if anyone's got any last words, but thank you. And he's got his T-shirt on as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you so much, Stephen, for what you've brought, and we need this on a bigger scale. I'm putting out to people, if you watch it back. Please, 1,000 pleases, please share it, particularly with parents and those who have children. Everybody, let's get this out.
Young people out there waiting to take over the world,
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Stephen, for your time and for your wisdom and for your knowledge. So fantastic to talk to you again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy, everyone. Enjoy your summer.
Take care, everyone.
See you in September.
See you in September.